This is the 21st season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing back after the holiday Monday. Actually got on the water yesterday, and for the first time, we got a good guest on today. So the guest on today, Dave Mercer, everybody knows and loves Dave Mercer. But recently he, like over the past 2-3 years, he's figured out a way to crack the social media algorithm, and that is donning a wetsuit like a seal and then laying motionless on the bottom while smallmouth and largemouth eat a variety of different lures. But I think why that is so popular is because we all have in our brain a way like that a fish is supposed to eat a lure and stuff, and like probably the most iconic eat to me, and that I picture this, and I was literally picturing this. So I went out and I was playing on scope, and scope bite sucked. So I said, I spy some lilies. There's just a rich, vibrant lily pad field, overcast, spitting rain a little bit, and I had, believe it or not, I had a bronzeye tied on in the box because I'd had it from 2 Thursdays ago at the Thursday nighter that I fished. There's some water willow there. I ended up weighing in 3 for 390. That's a fiasco. There's no frog bite there. None of them big enough to get it. But anyway, so I pull the frog out and I kind of get up in the lilies, and it's about 3.5, 4 foot, just real nice, clean, like that real clean water underneath it. And then there's just enough of gap in between these lily pads. There's not a lot of places that have like really good lily pad fields. Rojas hates fishing a frog in lily pads. He said it takes away all of his advantage to actually throw it in a lily pad field where, in his words, a trained monkey could catch him. But I start throwing the frog, and I've got this frog perfectly balanced on top of the lily pad. And I'm just barely twitching it. And I'm like picturing the Bassmaster or the In Fisherman cover where it's like the painting or the picture of the lily pad field with the frog on top of it. Dude, I had a 3-pounder come through the lily pad and just absolutely double frog hook through the snout, peg it, went down, boiled, wrapped it up, had to bring in all the vegetation, got it in. And it occurred to me, it has probably been 5 years since I had a proper blow up in like a lily pad field on a frog. I can't even remember when the last time was, but it was so much fun. It was like one of those things where you're like watching and you're like, boy, that just looks, that Jeff Crete used to always say, like if we saw him in the Elite Series, he'd be fishing. He'd go, I'm not catching any. He goes, it looks too damn good. He always hated fishing stuff that looked like really good. And it was cool. And then I got off and went to a different lake in Minnow for the next 8 hours. So today's guest, Dave Mercer. What's cracking, Dave?
Nothing. I want to go frog fishing now.
I know. Well, there was a bunch of that stuff at La Crosse, but La Crosse to me was more sloppy, right? Like you had the duckweed and a bunch of mixture, and the guys this was like no slop, like crisp, big green floating pads, but then in between there'd be like little sections where you could work the frog, like every once in a while, like 50 feet from where you cast, you'd see like a couple pads shake like that. There's not a lot of that exists in Oklahoma.
No, there's not. And if Dean Rojas calls that a trained monkey, well, I'd gladly be a trained monkey to catch
what he's saying though.
I get what he's saying. I mean, but I don't care. It's postcard bass fishing. Kyle Jesse said it during the La Crosse broadcast, and I keep going back to it, but he's like, this footage makes you want to bass fish. And that's what I call postcard bass fishing. Like when you see, I don't know if you were like me, but when I was a kid, it didn't matter where, we could be in a school trip and I'm in the bus and we're going to whatever. the science center, we pass a pond that has a pad bed in it. And like, to me, that was the most beautiful sight on earth. That's postcard bass fishing.
I like the ponds that were all clean, and then like they would be like kind of triangle shaped or odd shaped, and then one corner would have like all of the slop. Like you knew that corner, like you had 3 casts, and you knew they were all 3 going to be magnificent casts.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't critique it near as much as you, Panger, but that's our relationship. You're
did you have that up in Canada though, or you probably had vegetation throughout all of the ponds? Like where I grew up in Illinois, there would be like no vegetation. It'd be like a slick pond, and then the wind would blow all of the junk down into like one corner. So it wasn't like, you're fishing hill milfoil and hydrilla beds, and your ponds are much more vibrant than they are, I'm sure, in central Illinois. We had soybean and corn fertilizer runoff.
It's funny actually, because it took till I worked on the Elite Series where I realized the whole world wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Like when we traveled to Oklahoma, and I'm like, wait a second. Why is there where are the weeds? Like it's all rock. Like you just realize. And I guess growing up here, you don't realize how versatile this, like literally, if you grow up here, the only thing you're not kind of accustomed to fishing, in my opinion, is tidal fisheries. And that's it. Right. You can fish a lot of weed areas, a lot of rock lakes. You've got kind of everything. There's nothing that really shocks you, except for there's no tidal fisheries. I
don't think anybody is used to tidal fisheries unless you grow up on one.
I guess
you got some of the West Coast stuff, like the Delta and that type of stuff, and then you've got like that James River and stuff, and then you've got the stuff down south. And if that does, I mean, if you're not on that, I think the tidal fishery is an odd. Like, in your opinion, how many guys like truly know how to run tides? Not just to say that they're running the tide, but like for an actual bite window, like that it actually benefits them, not just being able to use the buzzword "I'm running the tides." Because I'm thinking like a low number.
Yeah, it's pretty small, really. I mean, you grow up, obviously, Potomac and places like that, and in Philadelphia, if you happen to grow up there. I mean,
on the Elite Series, Dave, how many guys do you think feel comfortable?
Less than 20%, I would say.
Oh, yeah. I would say like 5 guys.
Wow. I mean,
Ike, Schmidt,
the West Coast guys,
John
little bit,
Cruz. Though. Yeah. Do we have a Delta West Coast guy though on the Elite Series?
I think Loberg, a little bit. He spent a bunch of time there, and I think also Bryant
Cody
Smith
Meyer.
And Cody Meyer. Yeah.
So that's
I'll throw Paul Nick in there because there's nothing he can't do.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Probably around 20%. So.
Man, who knows? I mean, we're debating something foolish. I mean, we don't even know the answer to this.
What is your difference between? I've also wanted to ask this question, and I've never asked it to anyone. What is your difference between weed and grass? So, like a lot of the northern guys, synonymous, they call it weeds. Well, if you fish weeds down south, it's like, you do that with your Snoopy pole. But a lot of high caliber anglers call it weed up north. Weeds, like I'm fishing the weeds, fishing the weed edge, fishing the weed. But you get anywhere outside of up there, and it's all grass or vegetation.
Yeah, I think that's just a term. I think we just have so many different weeds. You can't, there's a lot of places where they refer to it as grass, and all they have is eelgrass, which eelgrass is a great grass.
To me, that's not grass.
But I mean, we have so many. We have milfoil, we have cabbage, we have just so many different types of weeds. So I think it's just a term for where you live. I mean, there was nothing to piss people off more than, like, what really pisses Canadian people off? Like, there's a percentage of Canadian, if you call a walleye, they're like, no, it's a pickerel. And it makes people. I don't know why people get mad.
You were going to say Florida winning the Stanley Cup back-to-back years.
No, we're used to it. I mean, it's been a long time now. Really, it really has.
See, pickerel's always been, to me, small.
Chain pickerel.
The small pike with the different pattern that just destroy swim jigs and paddle tail swim baits and stuff.
Yeah, if you get in northern Ontario, that's a pickerel. That's not a like a walleye is a pickerel. That's what they refer to it as. But people get super pissed, which I don't understand why. Like, I mean, call it what you want. Like, I call them crappie. But when Cajun Baby tells me they're sacolé, I don't get upset at them and say, well, you can't call them that. I mean, that's what you call them from where you're from.
I've heard guys call them white perch, which I know white perch are also up in the Northeast. I actually caught them on Champlain last year and threw them back and was like, that's a funny looking white bass. And then Googled it and was like, hey, it's like a mix between a crappie and a yellow perch if you eat them. And then I did some research, found out that's a big Paul Mueller fish is the white perch. Like he's always ice fishing for those white perch.
I really don't know if Paul Mueller likes bass. I mean, the last 3 tournaments he's been on stage talking about the other species that he wants to catch. I mean, he is probably one of the best. I mean, he's accomplished a lot bass fishing, but probably one of the best multi-species anglers we have on tour. He fishes for everything. I mean, him and you know who else is nuts for all different species is Steve Kennedy. I mean, you put him on a stream that has trout or anything. Like, I mean, he just loves fishing.
Yeah, you have to put Cooper in that category
cool.
too. Like Cooper, like literally goes on like quests for other species, doesn't he? That's a great question. Like if you were just to take guys who would catch, like, you know, if a gar swims pie, are you putting your $20 jerkbait in front of that gar in case that he eats it? Like there's a number of guys like I'm that guy. Like, yes, I will. Like if I know there's 100-pound alligator gar there in a tournament, I'm still hooking the alligator gar in the tournament.
Yeah.
Like, unless it's, you know, very extenuating circumstances, but Cooper's definitely like that.
Yeah. Gussie is one of them.
But like, I just don't see a guy like Trey McKinney, like going out of his way to catch a crappie.
No, probably not. No, I would. I mean,
like to him, that's just a waste of time.
He likes to catch bass and shoot things. It turns out that's about it. I mean, he loves to hunt and
definitely
pretty decent at catching bass. It turns out.
Polinick. I'm going down the list now. Obviously, you've got guys like a Hackney who a shark or redfish. I mean, don't get them with a good time on that. But I'm talking about like guys who spend their time on other species. Very apropos as Crappie Talk Live kicks off in a month here on Bass Talk Live, where if you've ever wanted to learn how to catch giant crappie, we're going to go to a lot of different venues across the country as well.
Crappie Talk Live. Looking forward to it.
CTL. Yeah, Gussie is like that. And dude, there's not a whole ton of, well, they are professional bass anglers, but there's not a whole ton of like guys who are obsessed with multi-species.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think they all kind of, I mean, they're anglers. They're just obsessed with fishing. But I mean, I think there's some that just chase it a little more and some of them that just focus on bass fishing.
Lee a multi-species guy?
Lee doesn't mind getting down with some alligator gar. I mean, he does that he'll send me the odd picture from a side-by-side with a bush light and a rod set up for alligator gar. He loves to catch some alligator gar and red. I mean, he does a bunch of redfish. I mean, Caleb Summerall guides redfish. I mean, I think there's a lot of saltwater crossover, but I think ultimately it's where you live. I mean, a lot of the United States has a lot of bass fishing and some saltwater. There's not a lot of musky fishing unless you go up north, you know, and same thing for a lot of species. I mean, I think they all kind of get down with crappie, but I think that's all fueled by one thing, and that's taste buds. Like they really only crappie fish because they love to eat them.
All right. I try to get you on every year.
All right.
Here's the thing. We used to do just a recap of the year, how everything went and all that. You've got Mercer. You have officially, unofficial. There's a lot of shows that cover that exceptionally well, particularly that you host. So, like, I was just on the officially unofficial, and you had a number of us that were on, and we gave our top 3 moments of the 2025 season.
Yeah,
that just came out on the podcast platform. Great sponsor, Shady Rays on board with the officially unofficial podcast, and that's over at Bassmaster right now.
Yeah, it's on Bassmaster, their podcast platform, the Bass Channel. That's the same platform that TNZ, the Bassmaster podcast is on, the Bassmaster podcast with Ronnie and Kyle. So it stays there for a couple days, and then they put it on YouTube and all the other platforms after that. But it's been received really well, so I'm thankful for that. I'm still shocked that anybody ever wants to listen, Panger, to be honest, but thank God for them.
So you're up to Mercer, the officially unofficial, and then like a facts of fishing deal every single week.
Yeah, we're busy, but it's good. It's good. I mean, there was a time nobody ever wanted me to do anything, Panger, so I'm thankful to do something.
We'll get into this right off the bat because this is kind of a little bit time sensitive, but one of the things that you do every single year, are you still doing that voluntary, or did you say it's about time you pay me the Hall of Fame deal?
No, I don't think they're paying me.
Yeah.
No, and I'll gladly. I mean, that's an honor to stand there. To be there, to be part of that evening is always amazing. It's an amazing room. It's just it's something I'm very lucky to get to do. So yeah, no, I'll be there September.
It is September 25th, I believe, which according to this is 22 days, 16 hours, and 11 minutes away. BassFishingHOF.com. How many years have you done that now, as far as kind of been like the host, the MC, the master of ceremonies, control the whole evening? Because, I mean, I don't think there's a more influential room in fishing than that night of the induction ceremony.
Yeah. I think I've done it. It's got to be getting close to 10 years, something like that. I mean, actually, the year that Tommy Sanders got in, because I always said I'm not going to do it until Tommy Sanders gets in, because he did it previous to that. And then Tommy got in. So I think I've done it ever since then. But I'd say, 10 years. I missed a year due to COVID when we couldn't travel.
2018 was Tommy.
Yeah, so, well, not 10 years, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, almost.
A bunch of years, yeah. I've enjoyed it. It's fun. It's nerve-wracking. It's never easy. I wonder why I do it right before I do it, and then afterwards I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did that. That was fun.
You still get nervous on stuff like public speaking, or is it just certain things where there's like specific things that you have to hit? Because that's what gets me now, is like if I have to do something where I like have to make sure I say something a specific way and then someone else is dependent on it, like that's where I'm like, okay, don't screw it up for this guy. But like you've public spoke enough and you're in front of the crowd enough, I would imagine it surprises me if you said that kind of gets to your nerves.
No, I don't get nervous speaking in front of crowds. Like I'm probably more comfortable in front of 10,000 people than I am 10 people, to be honest. But that night is different. That night is, I mean, you look out and Bob Cobb's sitting there, Johnny Morris, Bill Dance, you name it. They're all sitting right there. And you want to honor the night, you know what I mean? Like you can't just go up there and be a buffoon. You want to honor the people that have worked very hard to get in there. So yeah, I get a little nervous about that one. I mean, and they make me wear a suit. I don't like wearing a suit, Panger. I get nervous anytime I'm in a suit.
Dude, my suit from last year, snug.
Yeah, but your snug and my snug is a whole different.
Like I have to get a new suit for this year.
Wow.
It's
welcome to my
snug.
life. I got to get a new one every year, Panger.
It's so snug. Like I tried it on and I was like, I think that jokes will be made about this suit should I force myself to wear it. And then Court was, at least she was nice. She was like, oh, it's that like, like mature adult, like you're just filling out. It's like, yeah, no, that 41. It's not that. I do want to talk about this. So one of the cool things that they do for the Hall of Fame, they've done it the last couple years, is LureNet has brought together some legends from the sport, regardless of who their hardbait sponsor is. Over the time of that, Bruce Stan, big part of that over at LureNet and Pradco. This year, For the second year, they brought in the one and only Frank Scalish, Uncle Frank, to do 5 unique color palettes. That went live yesterday, which was, like I said, a holiday. I was on the water, like I said, frog fishing, and I went, oh crap, that went live. So it's like raining. I'm like down there. I got a couple of mine ordered. I didn't order all of. I got the Rick Clunn and the Roland Martin, but this is over $22,000 will be raised for the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame just from these limited edition 300 of each lure signed by that angler with that angler signature. You can go to the lurenet.com shop right now. You got the spook with Roland Martin, the Heddon Super Spook, the Heddon One Knocker, Green Gizzard with Rick Clunn, and then Frank worked with all these guys for these patterns. The Larry Nixon and the enchilada sauce, which is hilarious to me because Frank tells a story where like Larry was like, "Yeah, no, I just want a badass red craw." Like that's the most, you know what I mean? Like look at the different like paint patterns. They kind of like match their personalities, right? And then Larry's like, yeah, I don't play that game. I want something I can chuck and wind.
I like it.
And then the Bill
I wish
Dance,
they had called it Larry Nixon's badass red craw.
Yeah. and then even funnier on top of it, Frank, who designed the color and painted it and is like the featured designer. I talked to him yesterday and he's like, yeah, you know, I ordered 4 of those enchilada sauces so I can throw them. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean ordered? And he's like, I really like that color. And I don't like, I'm like, wait, so he's like, oh yeah, no, I paid, but I used the BTL code. And I was like, you work for the company. They're your colors, Frank. Like, I think you could get them. And then, so he's going to be out in Ohio throwing the Larry Nixon, only 300 made of that, the Bill Dance, and then the Hot Gill from Bobby Murray. So there's still a couple of those that are available for the 25th anniversary of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame. You can use code capital BTL 25 at checkout to get 15% off regularly priced items. I normally only talk about this on Thursdays, which is the day when Frank and I bloviate about a number of different topics, but something really cool going on with the Hall of Fame. And like I said, there's still, I thought those would be completely gone, but there's still a couple of them left. Like that's going to go in the studio, like the Peacock Bass one with Roland Martin. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, very cool. Did you say bloviate?
Yeah, that's like one of our favorite words.
God, that's a great word.
Yeah.
I start using that.
Frank uses it. It's to talk at length, especially in an inflated or empty way.
It's exactly what you would assume. Like that's exactly what I thought it meant without even looking it up.
When so many people are bloviating, it's easy to dismiss all discourse as chatter. You don't come here to hear from a pompous guy bloviating about his own personal opinions. Oh, that was a bad example. That's literally what people are here for.
Quit your bloviating, Panger.
Yeah. We're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, there's something going on in South Africa. I was lucky enough to be like a part of it at the Pan Am Games, which I had no business being a part of, but I was. But I want to get your take on it because I just the Black Bass World Championships going on in South Africa, and there's been for a number of years a lot of people trying to get traction on this. I want to get your take on what we actually have to do to get traction on it because it's pretty awesome. But that's after the break, so just no bloviating now. Just wait 2.5 minutes. Organize your bloviational. Wait, no, that didn't sound right. Or organize. It's BTL on a Tuesday. We'll be back right after this with Dave Mercer from Facts of Fishing.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook.
World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu. World's finest hook.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top on Strike King.
Gear that just plain works. Cast after cast after cast. AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Welcome back, B-Tail, on a Tuesday, chatting with the one and only Dave Mercer. Let's talk international angling, Dave.
Yeah, something
What
I know
are your,
absolutely nothing about.
Okay, well, that's perfect because I think there's a lot of people who don't know anything about it, but you are aware. Do you know about like the Black Bass World Championships that have taken place and all this? So when I was a part of the Pan Am Games down in Mexico, which is it's kind of like
I like how you're riding this like you were like just a cheerleader. You won the whole damn tournament, Panger.
That is true with Andrew Upshaw. But
would I happen to just be a water boy in the team? No, you won. I mean,
one of the things that I did not realize, Dave, was how cool that is, the international vibe, and how seriously so many of the other countries took that tournament.
Yeah.
And I'm down there in Mexico, and I'm like, God, I wish the angling community in the United States could feel and see what this is like, because it would make the whole international angling and tournament scene explode. Like, what are your experience with that so far?
I mean, I've had nothing to do with it, but I know a lot of people that have been part of it, whether it's, the U.S. team, the Canadian team, even the Australian team with Tommy Wood and those guys. Everybody who's a part of it speaks incredibly highly of it. I think it's a great, and here's my take on all of these things. Anytime there's eyes on tournament fishing, I think is a good thing. Anytime we're promoting the sport, I think it's a good thing. No matter who's doing it, how they're doing it, it's a good thing. So I think it's a great thing. I mean, the big goal of getting into the Olympics, I mean, that seems so far away at one time. It seems to be getting a bit closer. I mean, if they can have breakdancing in there, why can't they have bass fishing? My whole take with my only negative, and I think me and you did a call on it at one time, and I think my thought on it was there's probably more chance of carp fishing getting in the Olympics than bass fishing, just because you can only bass fish so many places. But the Olympics seems to have taken a new approach where sports can come in and out. They have some sports that are just part of
softball in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, and it's just part of that. It may not be part of future Olympics, but it's definitely going to be part of that. So I say, why not? Bring it on. Let's have Olympic fishing. I think it would be awesome.
Why do you think that the Black Bass World Championships, the Pan Am Games, from a popular standpoint, as far as people following it, people watching it, hasn't caught on? Is it strictly because of the international barriers and the time difference and the lack of live coverage, or what? Like, I mean, in all honesty, like, Scott Martin has done an incredible job over the past decade as part of Team USA, bringing this to light. Like, I watch all those videos, whether they're in, overseas or up in Canada or down or all that, and then, like, to see how hard he works with it. Like, why hasn't a Bassmaster, an MLF, why hasn't the Gen said, okay, we want to be, is it strictly just a money deal?
What do you mean? Why they haven't? I think
like, why is it not a big deal? Like, look at the Ryder Cup's coming up though, Dave. Like, the Ryder Cup here is coming up, and it's like everyone knows what's up. It's a big deal on who's on the team, who the captain's picks are. Kevin Van Dam is the captain of Team USA this year, right here. Like, they had to do the captain's picks. Like, the European side is like big. Like, why is there not more importance put on the Black Bass World Championships going on in South Africa this week?
I think generally it's, number one, you're asking for two specific companies that run tournaments, so they're obviously going to cover their tournaments first and foremost. But I think, honestly, as far as spectators go, why you like the Ryder Cup is because there's rivalries. Why you like the why you like any of those nation things is because, I mean, dude, look what happened with hockey this past year with Canada and the US and how that exploded because people love rivalries. If you look what the US is doing, and if Canada would do the same thing, and I think Canada is doing a decent job. I mean, they just ran a great tournament in Kingston, but you need the Johnstons on there. You need Gussie on that team. I know Gussie and Coop competed in one of them, but if you had the Johnstons, Gussie, Coop, Eric,
I told you before, Luzak's on it this year. The guy's on the biggest tear that I've seen in a long time, besides the Johnston brothers.
Yeah, and put them all on the team, because then there's a bit of a legit rivalry. I think, I mean,
Carl,
nothing
Tommy
will band
Wood,
America
Dean
together than the
Sylvester.
Johnstons. I mean, they tuned in.
That's what I'm saying, though. It seems like, obviously, like South Africa, Mexico, that there's some of them that have their international game together. Like, they bring their A1 guys. They look forward to it. You can tell that, like, this is their Bassmaster Classic.
Yeah.
How do you get those superstars on Team Canada? How do you get the Carl Jacobsons on Team Australia? I mean, each country does it differently, but, like,
I mean, that's a question you got to ask the anglers. Yeah. I know that it costs them money to compete for Canada, which is, you're never going to convince the Johnstons to show up and pay money to compete. So I would assume that's part of the problem. But I also think that that's also part of growth, like at one time, if you look at other sports, I mean, that's the dream team, which you're looking at right there in that picture. Mm-hmm. What a group of anglers, an amazing group of anglers. At one time, it was like that in other sports. You look at basketball and everything, like, as one country steps it up and the other countries get tired of getting their head caved in, they'll step it up, I would assume. I don't know. I think whatever I say here is going to get me in trouble, Panger. But I'm all for it. I think it's wonderful. But I think you need the people that are known in the industry and the sport. So I don't know how your qualification changes. But I mean, for example, that tournament that just ran in Kingston, the winner of that tournament got a spot on Team Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
So guess what, Johnsons? You're on the team, and now it's up to them whether they compete. I know they had an opportunity to compete in the one that was in Nova Scotia, but they chose not to because, I mean, they're busy winning every single tournament on the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah, but like, representing your country should take precedence. I guess. I don't know. What I'm saying is, it is an absolutely amazing feel and venue when you're there.
Yeah.
And I just got to experience the Pan Am Games. There needs to be more discussion about how to bring it. And I do also want to bring this up. So when I was in Mexico, I met Mark Schlarb, who for a decade and plus was kind of the driving force behind Team USA. Worked closely with Scott Martin, did a lot of the planning, the travel, the sponsorships. Actually fished in this one. He did with his buddy. He passed away shortly after that, unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And I do want to give a shout out. Did not know him very well, but for that week, for leading up to it, to getting it, dude worked his tail off. A thankless job, basically, to make sure that USA Bass was on the map and that what has been accomplished was accomplished. So have not mentioned that on the show about Mark, but definitely missed. Super great dude when we were working with him. Good angler as well. And it'll be interesting to see where the international competition goes. Do you think Bassmaster, do you think MLF, do you think they need to get involved in the international aspect of this? Like, is there a way that they could say, okay, like we're going to partner with the international sport fishing deal to like have official rankings, and then they'll say, hey, we're going to send media representatives to this. Like, do you think that should happen?
I think media representatives would be a good start to have it covered, by them. But I don't know that you need a specific league doing a deal with USA Bass or Canada Bass or the international committee, because then it becomes, we don't need more division. We don't need, it's only Bassmaster people and it's only MLF people in it. I mean, one of the nice things when you look at that team is you've got people from both. So, I mean, I think in general, we should all support it, but I don't think it needs to be an official relationship where it's with MLF or with Bass. I mean, I think it's its own thing outside of that.
Says so it's very interesting. So it's a six person or a 6-person team, so that competes. So like 3 teams. So it says fishing in pairs at the World Championships. Anglers compete in pairs. The USA Bass team pairings are Jacob Wheeler and Kyle Welcher, Scott Martin and Logan Parks, Scott Martin and Logan Parks, and Ott Defo and Drew Gill.
They're not going to do any good at all.
Like those are some pretty dang good teams.
And if they have anything they need to talk over, they could just call Kevin Van Dam, their coach.
Yeah.
And be like,
coach.
Kevin, let me know what you're thinking.
Now, I think I get this right. So when they go international, one of the biggest things is vessels, obviously. You can't just send your boat over. What's the name of that boat that Dudley's running this year?
The Tomcat.
So when I was in Mexico, we're at this like crazy lodge, right? And we're the only people staying there. South Africa's staying there too. Mexico's staying there. So we're in the hot tub area. It's like, backlit late at night. I slide into the hot tub with a cold beer, and I happen to be the other end of the hot tub was occupied by the South Africans. And one of the guys in there was the owner of Tomcat.
Wow.
And this dude is like one of those eclectic guys, right? So he was talking about how was working with Dudley and all this stuff, and he's like, oh, he's wild. Oh. I'm like, yeah, no, he's a one of a kind. And I believe, I don't want to get this wrong, but I believe they're all running Tomcats in this World Championship, and they built out these 3 boats for these guys. I think that's what he was telling me, and then I saw him that they were running those Tomcats. So they're running like Tomcats with the scope, with all of the bells and whistles and poles and
Every
stuff.
Every country or just the U.S.?
Just the U.S.
Well, see, there is a problem with the competition. I will say this, because I do know that there's other countries that have said, I know people who have competed and they showed up and they had a black and white graph. Well, the U.S.
Yeah,
Scott
that
Martin
happened
sure
in Mexico too.
Is taken care of, and good for Scott. But that's kind of a weird thing for competing. But I get it.
Well, One of the dudes in Canada
the
when
Team
we were
USA didn't stay in the Olympic Village either. They stayed on a boat when they played basketball, didn't they, or whatever they? stayed
no.
in.
So we actually changed venues to the newly renovated private lodge. Our guy who got us there safely when he found out where we were staying, just his first initial reaction was ooh, and Scott picked up on that and was like, "What? Wait, what's that ooh for? Like, that's not a good ooh, is it?" And he's like, "Not after dark, it's not." And so we moved very rapidly.
Well, I know when Bickle was part of Team Canada, he stayed in a gas station. I forget where that was, but they literally, because he sent me pay, it was just like, like an out of business gas station. So you roll up the doors and there was just a bunch of beds. So it was kind of a
Bickle
different
fished
living.
for Team Canada.
Yeah, he did. I think he has a couple of times.
Did he ever play for Team Canada?
No.
Never cracked. That would have been cool to say that you represented your country in 2 different sports at the international level.
Strong.
Yeah, it's there's a lot. Like, I think people think like, oh, like, we in the Pan Ams didn't win any money. Like, I paid for all my own fuel down there. Like, I split it with Andrew Upshaw. Like, I was out that money. Like, a lot of the wheel greasing that went on at customs and the border, like, that was out of my own pocket. Like, the lodging was covered. The food when we were down there was covered. But I mean, I was still out over $1,000 by the end of that week. Like, personally, I don't think people understand that, like, they had a lot of sponsors that took care of things, but it's expensive to go international with that much tackle, that much travel, that much. So,
yeah, it's a tough deal, but I mean, hey, it's because of amazing people that are working behind it to make it work. Every country, I mean, it's like being part of. Everybody knows that the most thankless job in the world is to be a bass club president. It's that times 100, because you're trying to pick the right people. But it's thank God for those people that put in the work that they do to make that event work.
You mentioned the Johnston brothers. Did they win another $50,000 this past week, Dave?
Yeah. No, all they do is win.
What was that event? I saw it.
It was actually run by CISA, which is, I'm going to just throw it out there. I think it's the Canadian International Sport Fishing Association. I think. But basically they ran that. And again, I think some of the funds from that event go towards Team Canada in the future and stuff like that. So that'll just make things better. But yeah, they won that. It was a team event. They got to fish together. And Bickle actually, up until the last day, was in second place in that event. Him and his buddy Josh were in second place in that event. And they slipped a little on the final day. But the Johnstons won. Shocker.
Oh, I'm looking at their. So you're right. It is CISA. Canadian Bass is a part of the CISA, Canadian International Sport Fishing Association, and represents Canada at international. I'm looking at some of these pictures. I recognize a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're down in Mexico. Have you, in all of your years, ever seen a year of dominance like the Johnsons, and I'm going to include their dad, Chris, and Corey, that has ever, I do not think in the history of competitive tournament angling, there has ever been a top to bottom season turned in like the Johnsons have done from Lake Ontario all the way to Messina. They own the entire fishery, Dave.
Yeah, there's never been anyone. I mean, I've thrown it out there on Bass Live and stuff. I mean, we talk about Lee Livesey and how dominant he's been on Lake Fork, but Lee Livesey's had some 90s. Lee Livesey has hit home runs there, but he's also struck out. The Johnsons never strike out on that body of water. And I know that frustrates some people, but it's like, name an event where one of them isn't in contention, and usually it is both of them. And me and Zona kind of talked about it too. We both kind of predicted that they would cannibalize each other a little bit competing on the Elite Series because they work together. But it's been the opposite. They've actually both thrived. But yeah, there's nobody, I don't know of anyone that is, there's nobody even close that's been as dominant as they have been for their entire existence on that body of water. Like, just take the last 7 years that they've been on the Elite Series, what they have done, it's wild. It is. I mean, they've won. I think it's the last 4 events they fished on Thousand Islands. They've won. I mean, Corey won the Open, Chris won an Invitational.
It started when Corey and his dad won that. Was it the Thousand Islands, the bait fuel Open?
Thousand Islands,
but they couldn't. Yeah. They didn't go in the river, and that's where the cutoff was for off limits. So he was in the lake, like at the same time that Chris was fishing the Invitational, right? Or like the week before that.
No,
Corey and them.
He was competing. He was competing lake only. Chris was competing river only.
Yeah,
and that's why
for
Corey
Chris
could fish the Open afterwards.
Yep. And then Corey won the 20K with his dad there, right?
Yeah.
And then Chris couldn't fish the Open. So then Corey wins the Open. So then that was back to back to back. And then wasn't there like a Toyota or something that was in there that one of them won?
I know it's a lot.
And then the Elite Series. No, there wasn't an Elite Series.
No Elite this year.
It was literally every single major event on the river was won by one of the Johnstons.
Yeah.
That they could physically
competed in. Yeah. Yeah. That they compete. I mean, they've won the last 4 events they competed in on that body of water. So it's wild. It's wild. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing even comparable. I'd love to debate and be like, well, on this river, that there's nothing comparable.
Yeah. Is that possible because there's less variation in smallmouth and current and rocks, or like it just seems like if there's a place that's going to be done, it seems like the guys who figure out the northern smallmouth consistently catch them. Have you noticed that?
But I think that's changed with forward-facing sonar. Like, I think that their advantage is probably less now. Like, if you took away forward-facing sonar, their advantage would be more. It's less now. And if you look at, like, in the last number of years, I mean, there's people that were incredibly consistent in northern smallmouth, and since forward-facing sonar has come along, they've been less consistent. Brendan Polnick was always a mail-in top 10 every time we went north.
Yeah.
In the last few years, he's kind of struggled up north. So it's wild to me that they continue to do what they're doing with as much scrutiny, as much pressure, as much eyeballs. Like, I mean, people have watched, you could physically spend today on the internet and spend all day and just watch footage of the Johnston brothers competing on those bodies of water. But they still continue to...
Yeah, it's actually more impressive because everyone knows exactly where they were, what they were doing, the baits, they watch it live, and then they still go out and do 27 to 29 pounds every single day. People are like fishing their areas going, well, where are they? And they're like, oh, we're at another place that we've saved for this tournament.
And I think, I mean, they're just very... I think that they're so lethal out there because they also, it doesn't take long. I mean, what destroys people on that body of water is they feel they overthink it. They know as long as we have 10 minutes, we have another 10 spots we can hit and we will figure it out. And they always do. Like, it's wild. I wish I had more to say about it, but I don't, because it's nuts to me that they just continue to punt them out. I mean, and this is huge praise, but I haven't seen somebody that dominant since KVD in his run. And he did it on a bunch of different bodies of water. But I remember when I first started emceeing events on the Elites, like when you'd see Kevin sneak into the top 12, you would watch anglers go, they were, like we're talking the most confident because there
were 2 tournaments going on. There was the KVD tournament, and then openly the other anglers would be like, all right, like second place pays $40,000.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's nuts. But
those guys have to know they're fishing for second when they sign up. I mean, like one of the dudes I saw in this tournament goes, well, average 24.96 a day and cracked the top 12. Like, not sure what else I can do out there, folks. That's 15 5-pound smallmouth.
I don't know. I know that. Hey, there's people who do not compete in tournaments the Johnston brothers compete in. Like, that's how dominant, and that's long before they were on the Elites. There's guys who call tournament directors and say, are Corey and Chris fishing, I'm out, because they just feel that they can't compete with them, which is mind-boggling to me. But they're pretty freaking dominant.
Is it? I mean,
total train wrecks outside of fishing, though, Panger. Total train wrecks. I mean, if it wasn't for fishing,
former
they
hockey
would
players.
Just. I mean, Chris does it better. I mean, I think publicly it looks like he's a little less of a train wreck, but maybe bigger train wreck. But total train wrecks. Thank God for fishing.
I was talking to another Elite Series guy, and we were talking about like going back and forth between like Canada and the US and all that stuff. Did I tell you this story? And they're like, none of us who actually know them know how they get across the border and back and forth, like both times, like how they get across and then how they get back. Like just because they just send it. They don't like do anything. It's like every time we like stop and be like, like you haven't paid this tax fare fee, whatever, in 19 years. But they live for the water, man, don't they? I mean, I don't know them personally at all.
Oh, that's all they do. And here's the scary thing. I remember Lynn, their dad, competing, and he would always have these two little brats in the boat with him. And it was Chris and Corey who turned into what they are. Their kids are nonstop in the boat. Like if you see them on the water when they're not in an Elite Series event, their kids are in the boat with them. So guess what? There's 4 more coming. I don't know. We need to figure out what it is that makes them. They're just really. I mean, when you watch them compete, they're just. It's like they don't get rattled. They don't like. The only time I've ever seen Chris Johnson ever nervous was the final day of Angler of the Year this year and last year, because I think that you've got all that pressure on you, but they're. I always say it. Somebody was talking to me about different competitors going into the final day of this weekend's event, and I said straight up to them, and I've said this before, I'm like, they're not going to win. Whoever you're saying is going to win is not going to win, because there's these 2 droids that are put on Earth to take titles away from good, hard-working people, and that is the Johnston brothers. You'll seem like somebody else is going to win, but the Johnsons will go get 26, 27 pounds and seal the deal, like they always freaking do.
You think that's you think it's hard for them? Like, do you think they put in work and they're like, oh, our hard work paid off? Or like you said, do you think it's because they were crawling around in the boat from the time they were 6 and their minds are molded and malleable and they've been obsessed with it to where they like in the peace and quiet of their own home or truck are like, this is kind of easy. Like it really makes sense to them. And they go out and they're like, we're like, I don't understand why there's no one that can figure this out. And it's just because of all those little bits of information from a like, could a normal, like a very good angler go spend time on it and compete with them? Or is that something that's like, like you put a kid in skates at 2 when he does things at 12 and 15 and 18 that like you can't teach. Like it has to be bred into you as you grow up. To me, it seems like that river is intertwined with them as they grow up to where they understand and know things that no one else can.
I don't think they think it's easy. I know that because they're perpetually bitching about how much tougher it is, because they also know the river and the lake before, and it is a lot tougher now than it's been. So I don't think they think it's easy. And I think other anglers could do it. But see, what boggles my mind when you really think about it, they should be getting worse. In the last 7 years, previous to that, dude, they lived there. They live about an hour and a half from there, but they spent a ton of time out there. They're spending less time on that river and that lake than they ever have in their entire life in the last 7 years because they're competing on the Elite Series. You watch every single Elite Series competitor that is super dominant on a body of water. They join the Elite Series and their dominance tapers off because they just aren't on that body of water anymore. Their dominance should be tapering off, but nobody told them. Somehow it's not happening. So I don't understand what they're like. It's there's really, I wished I had an answer. I wish I was like, Panger, they got this, dude. I think it makes sense.
That makes sense to me, Dave, because like a place like that on the river, you have longevity fish, the biggest, healthiest, like the biggest fish are going to always access the portion of that fishery that makes the most sense for them year after year after year. There's a reason they're there. So those guys, because of the decades that they have, they know where the biggest fish live. It's a massive, vast fishery with a lot of A+ spots. But if you're able to know where the A++ spots are and now actually target them, like you're actually fishing for the biggest fish, and the productivity of the river protects itself because there are so many other places you can catch 5 and 6 pounders.
Yeah. And I think that the most lethal anglers out there are the anglers that know what's going to happen, that know they're going to catch them. Like, that's why KVD was as lethal as he is, because KVD is one of the most confident humans ever in everything, and he always feels like he's going to catch him. The Johnsons have in their life, like, I mean, a handful of times they have not caught him there. So they just assume, like, no matter what happens, when other people get rattled and start running, they will just keep knocking on doors, and this is going to happen, and it always happens. They know more areas. They're very good at that way of fishing, and they're scoundrels, really, a lot of people would say. I didn't say that.
I
got
don't
Chris
think
on
you
this
can be
podcast
well
this week.
balanced.
I'll ask him straight up. I'm recording with him right after this. I'll ask him straight up, does it feel easy to you at times? But I bet you he'll say no, because it never is. Like that's also the truth. Big bags from that body of water. It seems easy at weigh-in, but it's never easy. To catch 25, 26, 27, 30 pounds of smallmouth bass is never easy.
Yeah, Lusick said I think he had 6 bites that day. He
Yeah.
had like 31 and a half. And he said like 2 of them were like gifts from above, and then the other 3 like super grinded for. And then he said he dumped like another 7 that would have given him a little bit more.
Wow. It's a wild place. I really have given you no information on them, but I wish I could help you more, Panger. I don't know why. They're just freaking freaks.
No, I think that helped a lot. What else you got? I know you got to record for that after. I just wanted to get you on and also mainly talk about that Hall of Fame. That's a really cool event. I think you can still buy tickets for that on the September 25th. If you're a bass fishing fiend, if you are obsessed with the history of the sport. Like, it's not like a place to take like your wife and kids to. If you're just a casual fan, they're going to be like, this is really, but if you're like, if you're into it and you're like, my God, like you understand like the history of the sport and stuff, like it is the one night that's worth $150 ticket.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like, and you get to talk to, like, sure, you can meet KVD at the Bassmaster Classic at different events throughout the year. You can meet Roland Martin, you can meet any of these guys at different things, but you're meeting them in a really casual, fun environment. You're meeting them somewhere where they have time to talk, where they, and hey, it's cool. It's just a great, it's similar to the feeling that you say about competing internationally. I think I feel about that event. You go to it every year and you leave it more excited than when you went to it. Like, quite often you're excited to go to something afterwards. You're like, I was okay. But every time I go there, I'm like, I forgot, I had a great time talking to so-and-so, or you just have those moments. And last year I got to speak to a bunch of people like that bought tickets and just attended. And every single one of them is like, man, this is the best night I've had an opportunity to be part of, just because, and you get to see them you get to see KVD run around and try to get people to bid on silent or live auction items and stuff like that. Him and Davey Height yelling at the crowd, and it's just a fun environment. It's a celebration of the sport, which is a lot of fun.
Very cool. Officially unofficial on Bassmaster.com.
Yeah,
and then on the Bassmaster YouTube stuff. Mercer every single week on the Facts of Fishing platform. Dave Mercer's Facts of Fishing, and then. How many years was this for the Elite Series? You came on when Kevin won, so what, 2010 or 2011?
2011.
2011.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's a career as the bet. Like, you've had a, like, if you have had a career as the Bassmaster Elite Series MC now. Like, that always blows my mind when I'm like, holy cow, like, I've done this long enough to say, like, this was a career, not like, oh, and then I did this for a while. Like, dude, you have had a career as it. it's hard to believe from 2011. Like 2011, it's 2025 now.
I know it lasted way longer than I have imagined. It's time flies when you're having fun, but it's a lot of fun, and I hope to continue doing it for a while longer. And it's a very rewarding job. I mean, I get to work with some of the best people on earth and great friends, and I get to scream and yell and do everything that I thought I'd do when I was what?
Oh, you're answering it. Thank everybody. I'm so lucky.
What do you want me to say?
I know.
It is exhausting yelling, Panger. It is really, I stand up there.
No, I know.
Sometimes
it's just
hot, but other than that, it's pretty freaking good.
It's hard to believe it's been that long. I totally forgot something that I wanted to ask you, and when I told
please do.
Rush that I had you on. So, did you ever seriously tournament fish? Did you ever what up to what level?
I kind of quit tournament fishing in my early 20s. But I started tournament fishing when I was 13 and fished all the way up to my early 20s. And I decided even early on that I was I don't like that. I think that's why I have so much respect for the anglers on stage, because I decided early on, I don't like this lifestyle. I don't like being away for months at a time. Like the fact that Brandon Palnick has owned a house for 4 years and he's probably cumulatively spent 4 months in it, to me is just nuts. So yeah, no, I did it for years. I enjoy it. I think I might at some point go back and fish tournaments, after I step away from it, just for fun. But I don't miss it now. I get to scratch that itch with the Elite Series. But yeah, no, I competed in tournaments. I would like to be more competitive in some of them, but I did.
Trying to fish against the Johnsons a lot.
Well, that's why
they were 7.
You quit. Dude, they were children kicking everybody's ass, and I'm like, I need to find a different way to make a living in this sport. But yeah, no, I think that's why I understand. I feel like I have a decent understanding of what anglers go through. And because I did compete for a while.
All right. I'd never ask you that.
Wow.
I don't think you can do the job properly without being able to understand, ask the questions, you kind of understand what those guys are going through.
Yeah,
it helps to have been in that situation before, when the guy comes in with 4 and that 5th one would have won him the tournament. There's I feel like you've had to have been in that situation to where you can delicately bring that up without either having him sucker punch you or crushing his soul.
Well, yeah, and what they're going through. What that feels like. How how crushed they are. Our sport's evil when you think about it. There's no other sport that as soon as you're actively competing right up until the moment your weight comes out. So you literally just find out your weight and you're boom, put on the spot to talk. It is weird that way. But I think that no one. What are you laughing about?
Well, the scales, and then you're literally 2 seconds. They have to process that, and then you're going, hey, did you do anything that personally screwed you from a life-changing moment?
Oh, yeah. We're the original American Idol. We put them side by side at the very end. We're going to see one of them win and one of them get crushed. I remember, I've been on stage. I always say the coolest thing about my job is I'm a foot away from people in some of their greatest moments of their life. But I'm also a foot away from people at some of their worst moments of their life. I remember Andy Montgomery at one of the TTBCs literally collapsed on my back. It was $250,000 as he tells it. Back then he was broke as a joke. And he's he thought he was going to win. And he literally collapsed. It's kind of evil that way, but it's also our sport. I think that if you don't love it the way you do, the way I do, the way the people that listen to this show do, you don't understand it. When I try to explain what we do to other people, they're they see pictures and they'll see these big crowds and they'll be like, what, do they fish in an arena? No. They just, it's literally like having golf, but at least now we get to see it. But 10 years ago, you never even saw any of it. You just saw them their scorecard get read out. Like you go to a golf tournament just to see Scotty Scheffler shot a 69 today. I mean, it is bizarre, but thank God for it, and thank God Ray Scott.
I did on this. The worst thing that you could have Dave Mercer say to you on day one of a tournament, if Dave Mercer has said the phrase "I know you will" more than one time, you're on the verge of getting eliminated. You are not making any money in this sport. You are in deep trouble if that registers after you walk off the stage, because that means that you walked up on stage and you said, "Oh, just totally shit the bed today, but I'll catch him tomorrow," and that you didn't have anything else to say except "I know you will," and then move on to the next one, which means that guy hasn't caught him all year. That's what I'm saying. If you're Elite Series Angler and Dave Mercer's, if your interview ends with "I know you will," your career is in jeopardy.
It's not true. Not true.
Go back and listen. Go back and listen to it. Every single guy who sucks on day one will say, we'll make a better game plan. We'll go out. We'll catch him tomorrow. And your response every time is, "I know you will."
I'm just trying to be positive, Panger. I mean, things change. That's why you get the first 2 days. One time next year. As they're turning and walking away, I want you to just say, "Highly doubtful." My last weigh-in, I always tell Mike McInnes, I'm like, if I'm getting fired, which I eventually will, just give me one tournament, 1 day of notice. Just be like, all right, this is
somehow still on the Elite Series after 11 years of mediocrity.
That weigh-in will be memorable. I mean, I don't know if it'll be good, but it will be memorable.
Chances are this limit was hole poached. Let's bring him on. The drunker he gets, the better he fishes. Let's welcome.
Well, there's some of those. I mean, everybody's different, but no, I try to be positive, Panger. What should I say?
Huh?
What should I say? Doubtful.
If you say so.
All right. You heard it from him first.
All signs point to maybe. That would benefit you personally.
No. See,
you still won't make the cut.
You're such a dick. When you make the Elite Series, that's when I'm going to wait till you hear my comebacks to you.
You said the word
shot.
red.
You're here.
Yeah,
Panger.
Do you follow Ty Au?
Yeah. I don't know him, but I follow his stuff on social.
I need to find it on here. Okay. Did you see what he just posted?
Evidently
for Motivational Monday?
Evidently not.
He posted this: Motivational Monday. Just because you'll never give up doesn't mean you'll ever make it.
But it means if you will never give up, that doesn't mean you won't. Like, I mean, the opportunity to make it is always still going to be there because you keep going, right?
Yeah, but just because you never give up doesn't mean you'll ever make it, Dave. I said, I responded. I said, I tell myself this at the start of every season.
Panger, I feel like we've talked about nothing during this show.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
We've done a Seinfeld episode.
We've bloviated.
Show about nothing. We've bloviated the whole way through it.
What?
I told you could talk to me about anything.
Enjoy this more than...
And you talked to me about things I know nothing about.
I wanted to talk about international fishing. I thought you were very educated on that. We learned a lot. We have a better understanding on that. We talked about the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about I have just written down Johnson domination. So we
tired of talking about them. Tired of talking about those two brothers. They get me in nothing but trouble.
And then we BS for a while. Like sometimes you have shows like, I mean, I wouldn't give it an A+. I would give it a strong B+ to A today.
All right. Okay.
You know what I mean? You do some shows where you get done and you're like, I can't wait for this one to go out. Like it was amazing.
This isn't one of those.
No, this is a very good show, but you know what I'm saying.
All right.
Like, what's your best Mercer show? Like, if you were to point to out of all of the hundreds of those that you've done, like your pinnacle show.
Well, being the hoary promoter I am, this week's show on Wednesday night with Chris Johnson, we go places that nobody ever imagined before. Now, it's hard to pick a best one. I mean, we've had a bunch. Swindle ones are always good because it's, you never know what direction it's going to go. And there's a lot that I really love. The Clun ones are always special. Trying to think of, I don't know that there's a best one, dude. I mean, I think that's all. Like, here's the cool thing about a podcast, and thank God we get comments like this. There'll be weeks where people are commenting, they're like, this is the best one ever. It doesn't get better than this. And then the next week, somebody will be like, this is the best one ever. It doesn't get better than this. Thank God. I mean, because I think each podcast talks to different things. I also really enjoy, like, some of the ones where people just start to get to know people. Like, one guy that has stood out from the start, and he's getting a lot of hype right now, but hadn't got it for years, Pat Schlopper. I mean, Schlopper's shows are always good. Schlopper kind of has got this, he is himself. He says it like if you ask him, he'll straight up tell you the truth and the answer. His shows are always good. I mean, fighters shows are always fun. I mean, generally we get threatened with legal action the week after the show, which is a weird tradition, but twice we've been threatened with legal action, and twice it's been right after a Seth Fighter show. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I have a favorite one.
That's fair. These are good. We should have done these before. This guy couldn't hack it in MLF, so he came back to Bass. Please welcome. And after they weigh in, can't do any worse. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have 101 pros, and he's one of them.
Yeah. The only angler not to weigh in a limit.
We had that this year. I forget who it was. Somewhere where we were just limit after limit, and I became, started pimping the limit thing. Like, everybody's got a limit, and one angler had 4. I forget who it was, but
I think it was Oklahoma dude, Blake Capps.
Oh, it was. I felt horrible. He's so good, and his parents are so awesome, and I felt horrible. But no.
I think I know the answer to this. Like, you do whatever the hell you want to on Facts of Fishing and Mercer, and that has no affiliation with Bassmaster. There's no one looking over your shoulder. You get in trouble with them sometimes. You make them happy. Sometimes you can say whatever the hell you want, whatever you want, with whatever guests you want. And Officially Unofficial is ran through Bassmaster, and that's why it's on their platform.
Yeah, but to be totally honest, I don't, and I know nobody's going to believe this. Mercer has nothing to do with bass. Yeah. So I try to have conversations about whatever. And I also have always been a proponent of let the angler say what they want to say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whether you're for something, against something, you can go back. There's been things that have been said on Mercer that, if Bass had control of that, like you would assume that they wouldn't. But even with Official and Unofficial, it's pretty cool that, like, they never ever proof it. Like, I post it and it goes live. Like, we don't. And if you look at some of the things that have been said in Official and Unofficial, it's only been around for 10 episodes, but it's pretty shocking. Like, it is getting a lot more where you can say whatever you want. But yeah, no, nobody kind of tells me what to say. Sometimes I wish they would. It's weird. Like, the narrative of, well, Bass wants people to believe this is such a great internet narrative. But I swear to you, Panger, and I have zero reason to lie about this, but if you don't believe me, you're not going to believe me by me saying I have zero reason to lie. But if you look at forward-facing sonar, I have literally in the past gone to Bass and said, is there a stance? Do we have a belief? Like, is there somewhere where you, and they're like, no, tell what you want about it. And that's why during live broadcasts, we've had open conversations on Bass Live on the halftime show and stuff like this. I mean, I've literally saying I'm a little teapot when anglers have got their hand on their hip up there, kind of ridiculing some of the stuff about it. They don't lock it down like people perceive on the internet, which is good, because if they did, I'd probably be fired by now because I say stupid stuff for a living. But yeah, no, neither podcast is one. But Official and Official is owned by Bass. That I make that podcast for them. But they literally, I mean, I'll be honest, they did the TNZ podcast with Tommy and Zona, which I love, and I think the only reason Official exists is because Zona said I'm doing that 26 weeks a year, and they were like, well, we'll get Mercer to jam in the other weeks and he'll do his podcast. But they literally came to me and said, what do you want to do? We want you to do another podcast. What would you like it to be? And Official and Official became what it is, which also was a horrible idea, Panger, because the one thing I hate about podcasts is booking guests. And then when I had another podcast opportunity, I went and made a show with 4 guests, which is really dumb because I've made the one thing I hate about podcasts tougher. But yeah, long answer. I bloviated about that.
That's good. I think also another thing is the point is, I think me included up until recently just assumed that like you had a producer and an assistant and just not that like did like, but that you had, Facts of Fishing, Dave Mercer, that you like had a team to where you'd be like, hey, get this, do this, edit this, send this, to where they helped you. It's just you and your wife.
Yeah. I wish, I see all these podcasts with interns and stuff like that. And I apply within because we don't have any of that. Sarah cuts together a bunch of the stuff, and thank God she does that. And I record it and set it all up, and it's just the two of us. But I wish I had the team that many people assume that I have, but it's bass fishing, and you don't have that.
Pat Schlapper, Taking Notes and Kicking Bass, latest edition of Mercer, your 227th episode, live on all of the MP3 platforms, podcast platforms, as well as the Dave Mercer Facts of Fishing, rapidly approaching 500,000 subscribers on YouTube there, and then coming out this week. Apparently, well, you don't know, you're about to record it after this, right? The Chris Johnston back-to-back Angler of the Year show. Anything else before I let you go here? I greatly appreciate the hour and 17 minutes of your time, Dave. Do you want to answer some of those questions?
No, sure.
You're welcome to.
I'll answer whatever you want, and you gave me the most soft.
Dave, do you have an angler that doesn't like you?
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure I do. I don't know who it is because I live in a fool's paradise, but I'm sure you'd have to ask the anglers. I'm sure there's somebody out there.
I'm going to just let you go right now. We've had a good show.
Why? What are the other questions?
Nothing.
There isn't one, Frank.
No, he's not emceeing the wedding, unfortunately. It's a long way to go.
Are you going to your wedding?
I don't think we really have it, MC. I think Dave's going to help with some of the sound stuff, but that's about it.
Nice.
Are you going to get an invite to the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift wedding?
Oh, probably. I would assume Tay-Tay's got me on the list. I mean, I'll be all about it. We'll do a podcast live from there. Hey, today's a special day, by the way. One of our buddies, it's his birthday. Happy birthday to Kelly Jordan.
Really?
Yeah, shout out Kelly Jordan.
He would be on way more podcasts and shows if where he lived had any semblance of internet connectivity. He can answer his phone about 3 days a week from like noon to 2 when he goes into town to get supplies.
Isn't it wild? Like the amount of pro anglers that never even like they don't have Wi-Fi. I mean, you work in an industry again. The world's changed. Like you work in a sport where you're going to do some of these. You want to do some of these, and they also don't have like. I mean, how many of your guests put their freaking phone up on a pile of Plano boxes and line spools? Like they. I mean, go to Dollar General and spend $15. You can get the mega pack, comes with the ring light and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It is quite amazing.
Yeah, I've sometimes I'll say, you talk to a younger angler and they'll be like, what would you suggest? They'll just that point me in a direction. And I always say, spend one day and $2,000 and just designate somewhere for your streaming, your videos, decent audio, decent lighting, decent background. Don't touch it. It doesn't move. That's where it lives. It can have good internet. like I said, it's one day out of your life, but that'll come back tenfold to you, especially because then you're more likely to be guests. People like me and you are way more likely to invite you to be on. You represent your sponsors more. Like, I mean, heck, Court and I are doing marriage, premarital counseling from the studio right here. Like, I mean, it's like a standard thing. Like we were supposed to. It's like 6.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's nice to be able to talk to someone like with lighting and be able to hear them, and you do it with like your family if you have kids and stuff. Like, I don't know why in 2025 it's not a standard thing is to have like your live stream corner.
Yeah, and I don't even think they need to spend $2,000. I literally think, okay, if you spend a few $100 on a microphone and a light and whatever, that's one thing, and it's better. But dude, just get a light and a camera stand, and I mean, it really isn't that hard. The Trey McKinney interview, and I told Trey I'm going to buy you a stand. I mean, he's 20, he's just getting used to this. But literally, by the end of the actual interview, it just got darker and darker. Like, it was great light to begin with because the sun was dropping, and then by the end it looked like he was like, we had to boost the color in that shot to see him, but it literally looked like we were talking to a guy with witness protection.
Ain't no thing. Hell, people just you can hear me, Dave, right?
Yeah, we could hear him. But I mean, that actually was one of my favorite. I mean, I think he really opened up in that interview, which was really cool. So yeah. But get a damn light.
Opinion. I totally changed my opinion. I'm not a big fan of. I don't like to just individually talk about specific anglers, but in a professional setting, I changed my opinion of Trey McKinney from the Pan Am Games down in Mexico and being around him for a week.
What was your opinion before it?
Not a fan.
Why?
Didn't like how he came across. Didn't like all the smoke that surrounded him. Thought he was a manufactured angler who was going through the motions.
I
like the kid because... now. Well, he's a likable kid. Like, he is way more likable. He has a weird nap schedule, but when he's not sleeping, he's literally fishing 24/7. His understanding of like things like on the water, like just from that one lake, Chichillo in Mexico and things, like his understanding of that was way beyond what I realized. He did his own thing. He was positive. Like, I think a lot of it is the fact that he's such at a high level that you forget that he's 20 years old.
Yeah, but people don't like that when you first start. You're supposed to be cute. You're not supposed to.
I'm reading Blake Rader's comment down there. What are you laughing at? What were you laughing at? You were laughing at something that I was saying.
I don't know.
Or a comment.
I don't know. No, I don't. I wasn't reading. I'm too blind to read these. There you go. I got them.
Anyway,
no, I don't know. I was just smiling. I just think it's neat because
positive. Like I have a lot of respect for him now.
Yeah.
Like, do I think he does everything right? Absolutely not. Do I think anybody who's that age does everything right? Absolutely not. Do I think anybody at any age does everything right? Absolutely not. But I literally went into the hotel room one night with Andrew Upshaw, and I was like, dude, like, I totally 180'd my opinion on Trey McKinney. And he's like, right?
I've searched, dude. I have searched for it. And I don't listen. Has he made some dumb decisions? Sure.
I don't think that was harsh.
Version of me makes way worse decisions than he does. Even in his conflict that he had with an angler. I mean, what I would have said at 19 years old, a lot different than what he said. Not everyone's going to like everybody, but I have not seen. I mean, I think he's guilty of being really good at angling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
he's a kid.
He's a kid, but I feel like why people dislike him, they're like, well, he's cocky, he's arrogant. Why? Because he talks on camera and he sounds okay and he believes in what he's doing. Like, to do what he does at 20 years old, guess what? You need to be cocky. And let me let you in a little secret. So is most of the Elite Series. And I don't mean in a bad way, but so is most of the PGA. So is most, I have this theory, and we'll go in a whole different direction. But if you realize Anglers have very attractive wives. If you rest, and I have a theory that is around that, and I'm like, well, of course they do, because it takes a giant set of nuts to say I want to be a pro angler, and to do a job that literally everybody you went to school with, you had a job with, most of your parents and stuff told you can't do this. It's almost impossible. So if you have the machismo to chase that dream, well, you probably got the machismo to meet a attractive. Maybe my comment maybe went bad.
Saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I get it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you've got everybody in your life telling you, "Oh, this is not smart. This is not it." And you're going, "Yeah, it is. I believe in myself. I'm going to go do it." You know what the odds are. You still do it, and then you achieve it, which then gives you more confidence on top of it too. Like, I 100% agree. Like, there's a couple guys that are really good that are very self-deprecating, where they're like, "Oh, I'm on the winning fish, but I'll find a way to screw it up. Just watch." But
yeah, there is some of that. But generally, you see
as a whole, there's a guy who's not on anything who's like, "Yeah, I'll figure it out. Always get 3 lucky bites every day."
Yeah. Hey, I have a theory on Kevin and why Kevin, and really this theory I've had for a long time, but it's really just I've started to put pieces together. And the last piece of the puzzle was with Swindle this past event. We were talking about, we're on Bass Live, and we're talking about the feeling you have when you win Angler of the Year. And what Gerald Swindle, what he said is like, when you win Angler of the Year, you don't second guess any decisions. You know you're going to catch him. And I've seen that. I've seen that with Aaron Martins. I've seen him have great seasons, and I've seen him have bad seasons. I've seen him win 2 Angler of the Years. And when he's winning Angler of the Year, Panger, he's like, bro, they're on that point. They're right over there. Like, he's not, when he's having a non-Angler of the Year season, he's like, bro, you think they're over there? Oh, no, they're probably in the back. He's always second guessing himself. So to run at that high level and win Angler of the Year, all anglers are like that. But Kevin Van Dam lives in that world. Mm-hmm. And to everything, like, I literally have been on vacation with him. Like, Kevin's approach to things is always the right way, whether it is or isn't. Like, when I've been on vacation with him and he's told me I'm building a fire wrong, we're making s'mores, and he's like, Mercer, you're building that wrong. I mean, the log should. And I'm like, but we have fire and the s'mores are being made, Kevin. I don't think it's no. It totally could have been different. But he believes that. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but if you take that level of belief, that's why he was as dominant as he was, because every season was an Angler of the Year season for him, because he always believed. Like, he never said, like, you never say to Kevin, where do you think you're going to catch him? And he'll be like, they might be here. They might be there. It's just like, oh, they're going to be there, Mercer. Of course. They're going to, right. They'll be, like, when he won the final Angler of the Year that he won at Bass, his 7th Angler of the Year, that day we were covering him. We did coverage of him the day before, me and Overstreet. So he says to me the next morning, he says, are you going to be covering me again today? I said, yeah, we're going to cover you. And he says, well, be quick. I said, as soon as takeoff's done, I'm going to jump in the boat and we're going to go. I said, you're going to that same spot you started on. He was on Wheeler. And he said, yeah. He said, but be quick. He says, I'm going to catch 17 pounds, seal the deal, and win Angler of the Year. And I kind of laughed, and he gave me the wink, right? And whatever. So we go. Takeoff is done. Overstreet is on standby. I jump on the deck of the boat. We follow him. We catch up to him right as he's pulling into that first area that he had fished on day one. He pulls in. Ott Defoe, this is Ott's rookie season. Ott is sitting. It's a water spill well on Wheeler that he's fishing. Kevin fished that the first day. Kevin could have big brothered him. I mean, it was Ott's rookie season. Kevin had Angler of the Year on the line. Kevin didn't do any of that. He went and took off to a next spot. Went to the next spot, and there was 3 boats on it. Went to spot number 3. Didn't get into a disagreement with anybody along the way. Like, I'm watching this, I'm like, I would have yelled at Ott and told him to move and this, that. You know, you think of how other anglers would deal with it. Went to his 3rd spot, caught 17 pounds in 15 minutes, and won Angler of the Year. But never you look at how different anglers deal with that. They'd roll in, they'd be like, oh, there's someone on my area. It's all falling apart. Kevin lives life in certainty, and that's why I think he's as dominant as he is. And maybe that also explains why the Johnstons are as dominant as they are on that body of water, because they live life in certainty. They never think it's not going to happen.
220 top 30 finishes out of 314 tournaments, and half of those were 250 to 400 boat tournaments with that first half in the invitate, like all the, they'd had those top tournaments like back in the 90s and 2000s, and a quarter of those were boater on boater draw, where he didn't even get to select it at 220 times out of 314. Now it averages out a little bit if you take in the 28 classics, it averaged 50 boats, and then 2 years of the E50s. But I don't see, do you see Trey ever having a down year? Like, I don't see Trey McKinney having a down year. I could maybe see a top 10 or 20 in the Angler of the Year, but like, dude, you watch that guy fish, and like I said, after I got to know him a little bit, like, I mean, just superficially, I mean, we're not sitting there like, talking life, but I could see him having 20, 30 years of insane consistency.
I think it's too early to put that on Trey, but I how can you argue with that? I mean, the worst he's finished for Angler of the Year is second. The best he's finished for Angler of the Year is second in 2 years on tour. In both years, year one, he had
he had bonehead moves both times.
Yeah, and then year two, he finished 89th or 97th, whatever he did down in Florida, and he had to recover from that. So I don't see him having those, but I mean, I think it's early, and I think like every single athlete, I remember years ago watching an interview with a bunch of veteran golfers talking about Tiger on his way up, and they said, wait till he has commitment, wait till he has family, wait till he has things. All of these things are going to pull you away from the water. All of these things become a challenge, and we'll have to see how Trey deals with that. But dude, on paper, Trey McKinney is, I don't see him having a bad, like, I mean, it's pretty amazing. I mean, who would say, like, I mean, how can he have a bad, like, if you just look what he's done so far, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, like Wheeler will never have a bad year at MLF. Like, I mean, he's in the groove like that. Like, he's good for as many more years as he wants to go. Like,
has he ever had a bad year?
No, that's what I'm saying.
No,
like,
anywhere.
He's in that KVD deal where like you don't have down years.
Yeah, which is what makes Trey's start even more amazing to me. Like, look at Wheeler. Wheeler started, I mean, he won the All-American, and that was kind of his breakout. Mm-hmm. But he still had, you've seen his career.
Yeah.
Step
Trey
up.
Just started at the top. But also, like, I mean, like, dude, like, there's, like, Trey has been, like, built, like, with what he's done with the coaching and the tournaments at Illinois and all that. Like, it's not just like, this is not like a fluke that you've got a 20-year-old that's back to back. Like, I mean, it has been a very intentional, systematic, just like you would do, where you've got, my buddy Juice from Juice's Jigs has a 6-year-old. There are kids on a 6-year-old baseball team with swing coaches, who come to their games because they go have swing coaching for their 6-year-olds outside of the game.
Yeah.
So you can't say that it's a bad thing in fishing. It's the same, that same high level approach.
And you watch, if you Google, there's videos of Trey when he's 12 years old, fishing with Andy Morgan, fishing with Dan Moorhead, fishing with a bunch of different pros. And he's doing a YouTube series or a TV series at the time. And it was, I think it's called Building the Future, or, Building the Next Generation, or whatever. And you listen to the questions he asks, and you're like, well, of course he's this. Mm-hmm. He's literally 12 years old, and he is blistering these guys with questions. And they're giving him all the juice, and he's learning with them. Like, but again, that is no different. What he did, they did personally. What's the difference between what Easton went through in college and what Tucker went through? You know what I mean? In different places like that. It's marketing wise, it's got a different spin on it. But I mean, Trey never went to college, but he went to the College of Fishing by learning from different coaches, and you're seeing it. And I think, as much as people don't want to admit this, whether you love forward facing sonar or hate it, this got nothing to do with this. It's an evolution of the sport, which we see in every freaking sport there is. I'm a big MMA fan. When I first started being a fan, you had guys who were punchers, you had guys who were wrestlers, you had guys who were, jiu-jitsu and different things. Now you have MMA fighters that learn to be MMA fighters from day one, and they learn all the pieces. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the sport evolve. You've seen it in hockey. I remember fishing a pro-am with Steve Larmer years ago, who, was the NHL Iron Man, had a great career. And I remember he said to me, he said, the NHL's not what it used to be. And I was like, well, how can you say that? And he said, no, he said, when I first started in the NHL, we go to training camp to get in shape. He says, now these kids show up in shape. They work out all summer long. It's not what it used to be. And that's what's happening in our sport. You get people that that's what they're trained to be. And
do I think some of the smoke is justified? Because I don't know. I'm just saying there's certain things that like Tucker's had a little smoke around him. I thought he did an incredible good job of kind of overcoming that thing with the open and all of that. Nothing around that. Like a lot of smoke around Trey McKinney. How much of that is him? How much of that is something else? But I'm not talking about look at what he's won. Look at the team boats he's won. Look at how much he won as a youth. I'm looking at it as his understanding of fishing and the little bit of time that I've spent around him and his decision making and how his brain worked. And that's where you're talking about spending time with the anglers and stuff. I'm not looking at his body of work and the stuff and boats that he won before all of this. I'm looking at him as like an angler now and going, okay, that's a high level, high functioning, like way past my thought process. That's kind of like the Johnstons on Thousand Islands, like his foundation. Like if we're both building pyramids, right? Like I think it's big that you have to have the foundation and then boom, you get to the top cap. Like his foundation at 20 is way closer to the top cap than anyone else's who's still kind of building that foundation. And then you have he's already up to here just on that. That's not on accomplishments. That's on understanding. That's like he goes to a body of water and already has a lot of stuff figured out that a lot of the peasants, us common folk, have to spend a day and a half to work through.
Yeah. Well, and he should, because guess what? Up till now, fishing has been an uncoached sport. Now it's not. Now you have coaches. You have coaches, whether it's collegiately or whether it's Rick Cheatham, who fished with Trey and basically was his coach on the way up. They're coaching them. They're making them better, more. And if you think of the collegiate thing, to me, stands out as, it screams why it's as successful as it is. Think about it. You're fishing the opens, Panger. You room with some guys, and guess what? You try to help each other here and there, but you're really not a team. If you watch how the collegiate teams work together, they take a kid from Florida, they take a kid from Michigan, and they put them together. And they impact each other with each other's. Everybody's got a handful of things they're really good at. And the best way for you to get really good at it is to spend a day in the boat with that person, and you see exactly how they do it. So they do that, and they share everything. They're helping each other the whole way up. And I think we're seeing the result of them just coming up. That they're not the hardest place to learn on earth is the Elite Series. I think we've seen some of that. I think a Matty Wong is a prime example of somebody who probably qualified for the Elite Series a little bit early. And we've seen him have moments of pretty incredible stuff. But it's freaking hard to learn in the Elite Series. Another guy that just got, that didn't make the cut, Tim Doobie. It's another guy who I've watched, and I'm like, this guy's he's gathering the pieces, but he almost got there too soon. But if you go to college and you learn like these young guys are learning, there is somebody helping you the whole way up. Like just how to, just think of, Panger, if you could turn back the clock and fish tournaments 5 years ago with what you know now, how much better would you do 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And that's what these kids are getting.
Immeasurably.
Yeah. It's wild. It's wild. But yeah.
No, I 100% agree. Like you take, and then you have all those resources too. You mentioned you take a kid from Florida, you take a kid from up north. Now you can have that kid from Florida who then goes up north, and now you have your partner's resources, all of his resources, your learning curve's cut in half. So now instead of qualifying through, the 4 opens where you've never been up there in your life, and you go up there and you're like, my God, there's current on the St. Lawrence River. You now aren't intimidated. You completely understand it. And then when that kid from up north comes down to Florida and you're running the rim canal on frickin' Okeechobee, that kid isn't in his first Elite Series tournament ever after qualifying through the other division where he's going, holy crap, there's freaking reeds and grass everywhere. Like, the intimidation factor is out. And then you're not only dealing, it's not only just that buddy, it's that buddy's buddy and his network and his team to where it all works out. So there really isn't. And then you throw in the fact, like, you look at like how hard like JT and Trey and I think Tyler, before he got the girlfriend, was pretty much like 365 days a year on the water. Now he's like 360 days. But those guys, like, now you've got high level guys who are 1%ers who are working with other 1%ers who bring in other 1%ers. And now you've got the guy going, oh, hey, try the jig on the stump, maybe not the minnow. And then you've got the other guy that's going, hey, there's stumps like we catch them on the flats back there. Now we need to look for stumps on the flat. So now instead of just having that, now you've got guys that are throwing jigs on the stumps on the flats that are a combination of all 3. And they know where every stump is because they all just went and spent 6 days before the off limits graphing all the entire part of the lake to get all of the stumps on it. And then when they go back, no wonder they kick your ass.
Yeah.
And job.
And on top of that, they have 11 years of live bass fishing that they can watch. Like, I mean, how much less intimidating? I remember the first time the elites went to the St. Lawrence River, out of Waddington, and how intimidated people were literally hugging Brandon Polnick as he left the dock. Please make it back. And now you look at that and you're like, you laughed because it is laughable, because you look at the runs that people make now and how simple it is to fish current and just crack that nut. College kids get to do that as a team. They're told what to expect. You're going to fish a tournament up here. This is what to expect. And they do it together. And that's also at the age when you learn the most. Like, if you open a freaking pizza shop, you're going to work the hardest when you're in your early 20s. And when things pull you away as you get older, you're still going to work hard, but you're not going to be just solely focused on that. All they live is fishing. They live, eat, and breathe it.
You start that at 15 in the high school program. You're fishing multiple day tournaments. You learn how it works. You're not intimidated. You look at a guy who's 3-4 years older than you that's competing for Angler of the Years. You get that under your belt for 4 years. You learn. You get to go to a school that suits your strength. You typically have a signing day. You do that for 4 years. Unless you're Tucker Smith, you ain't probably leaving that early, leaving college early or something like that. So if you start when you're 15, by the time you're 24, which is when most guys would start fishing the opens after they graduate from college, you have a decade of experience under your belt in multiple day high-level tournaments, and a half decade, depending on how many times you went to O'Connell's and did the friggin' beer bongs on the Friday and Saturday night. It might have been a 5-year process for some of us, of knowing everywhere around the country, building relationships and planning it. So when you start, you are, I would say, you're 2 decades ahead of a 35-year-old guy that has casually fished with his buddies, maybe fished a BFL regional or 2, has his own business in a position where he's like, you know what, I can jump out for 6-7 weeks. Let's fish the opens and see how this goes. What's more amazing is when a guy like that beats one of these guys who's been set up for a decade like that. It's not the other way around, Dave.
It's a good way to look at it. And they're not slowing down. I mean, look at all the young guys, Bankshaw, and all these different, it's crazy. It is crazy. The sport is getting harder to compete in. And I don't think that has, forward-facing sonar definitely helps.
Expedite it. It is expedited it because you do get better the more time you spend on the water and the more time you spend with any tools. I do not think, I still think that there would be an influx of exceptionally young talent to the level that we're seeing. No, there would still be an influx of exceptionally young talent just because we're building anglers, which is what Bassmaster wanted. which is what, when you first came on in 2011, was a big issue with Bassmaster, was we've got these guys who are fishing 3 opens, then we're feeding them to the wolves. The guys are saying, hey, hope you got a game plan for 2 years, because even though we won't kick you out, your soul, your spirit, your life, your family's going to leave you. Your friends are going to hate you. You're going to finish last. You're going to question everything you've known about your existence. You're going to have zero self-esteem left. And then we're going to leave you with credit card debt, and you'll be under a bridge doing illegal things for money just so you can get a cheeseburger. Like, that was the case for 12, 15 years. They wanted this to happen. It's good for the business. It's good for the sport.
The industry wanted it to happen. I mean, how many people have you heard talk about growing the sport? The sport's growing. And I careful what you wish for, because I mean, to me, you know, where people are like, oh, tournaments are going to be gone in 5 years. There's more young people competing in tournaments today than there ever has been. Ever. Like, dude, I was a weirdo when I grew up. I started fishing tournaments at 13 years old and was lucky enough to do okay at it. But I stood out like a weirdo because I was the kid, the one kid that was doing it. And there's more and more people like me. You know what I mean? Ott Defoe was a weirdo where he grew up. All of these people were weirdos because they stood out. Now they're not weirdos anymore. Now there's a lot of them doing it. It is wild. It's wild. But I think it's a healthy mark of the sport, the way it's growing. And I know that's not popular with everybody, but I just think and people want to pull the, well, you know, their parents. Well, guess what? That their parents are helping everybody. Like you said, the swing coaches at 6 years old. It ain't just fishing.
That dude starts hitting freaking home runs in high school. There's not a single parent in the stands going, yeah, well, his parents have been incredibly supportive. Like, no shit. You know what I mean? That wasn't an impressive 390-foot home run down the left field fence. Kid had a swing coach growing up. If I had a swing coach back in my day, I'd have been hitting dingers too. I'd have been sniping top shelf. Kid goes to power skating school every summer for 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's every tryout of every team there is. There's people standing on the sidelines and saying, hey, little Johnny's only good because of this. Only good because of that. I mean, sometimes you just got to say little Johnny's pretty freaking good, because guess what? There's a whole bunch of little Johnnies who had all that and still aren't doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, if just because you have that, it's not automatic.
It went from a B+ to an A+, Mercer.
Oh, wow.
Saved it in the last 47 minutes.
God, thank God. Thank
God.
That's
almost 2 hours.
That was a long time.
I feel like you came into the show like wanting to get into the weeds and were slightly disappointed that it was a weedless show for the first. Well, we did talk literally about weeds, but it was a weedless show for the most part for the first 45 minutes of it. Like, it took a while to work. Like, I feel like you came in like ready to deep dive into whatever should come your way, and that it was you felt like it was somewhat superficial until the second half. Is that a fair assessment?
No, I mean, I just told you I'll talk about anything, and then we talked about things that I don't know that much about, and I'm like, well, why don't we talk about stuff? Like, I mean, no, I think it was fine. It was fine. Panger was wonderful. It was great.
That's what we shoot for here.
Really doesn't matter what the hell we think.
We shoot for fine.
But hey, here's the one thing I'm going to say. School started today for a lot of kids. Don't be a jackass. If you're listening to this and you're on your way to school, be nice to people. It's a tough day for everybody going back to school. Don't be a jackass. Be nice. It makes a difference in people's worlds.
That's great. I think my top demographic is the 45 to 70 crowd, but
that hate everything we said. Right now we have
no. I have some young listeners that are awesome. All right, I'm gonna let you go. Have fun talking with Chris Johnston about his
what
back-to-back.
questions you got for him? Give me some questions.
What
You're very good at this.
Professional. Do I have for Chris
I'm going to be
Johnston?
professional. I'm going to go into this professional. Is it still?
I would like walk me through what was going through your head at noon on day 3 of lacrosse. Another one that I would have is because of who you were tied with did you feel extra pressure? Like, because you were tied with Trey McKinney and he is a polarizing figure, did you feel more pressure going into that final day?
All right. I'll ask both those. Now I'm actually prepared for this interview.
All right, we're just gonna end BT. I'm gonna end it with you on here. Same place, same time. Tomorrow, this has been another edition of BTL. We'll talk to everyone later. See ya.
This episode, keep our cult.